Anti-Semitism is often called Europe's oldest hatred, yet, until the last few years, it was not an issue that was widely discussed among anti-hate advocates on the left. Explanations offered for this have included claims that anti-Semitism has not been a pressing issue since the Holocaust, or that it does not manifest as a form of socio-economic oppression. To what extent are either of these interpretations accurate? And is it possible that, in the case of anti-Jewish racism, appearing wealthy is not incidental to oppression, but the very basis of it? Anti-Semitism has always relied upon stereotypes about Jews and wealth, but these have often been completely unsubstantiated. In New York today, for example, often considered the center of Jewish finance by conspiracy theorists, 20% of Jews live below the poverty line, which is approximately double the poverty rate of non-Jewish white New Yorkers. Additionally, when Jews have been affluent, this has not always functioned as a straightforward privilege and has often failed to protect Jews from violent oppression. As is explored in history books, such as Ben Sassen's A History of the Jewish People and Botticini and Eckstein's The Chosen Few, the majority of medieval Jews were not prosperous moneylenders, but were poor. In the early medieval era, banking and moneylending were not distinctive features of Jewish communities at all. Across a 300-year period, from the 10th to 13th centuries, moneylending was increasingly practiced by Europe's Jews, but they were, to a significant extent, segregated into this profession as a result of anti-Semitic sentiments. The rise of moneylending as an occupation within Jewish communities occurred due to a tapestry of factors, including Jewish ostracization from their old trades through the development of powerful merchant and craft guilds, which barred Jews from membership, and Jews feeling attracted to a highly portable occupation like moneylending, as they were repeatedly forced to become refugees. Furthermore, after the expulsion of a Jewish community from a given region, it was not uncommon for Jews to be permitted to return to their old homeland only on the condition that all or some members of the Jewish community aid the monarch's financial difficulties through working in moneylending and rescinding a very substantial portion of their earnings to the monarch in tax. This meant that many Jewish moneylenders were themselves very poor, forced to give the majority of their money away to kings and princes. While some Jews, such as the Rothschild family, did become affluent from this profession, even they were often heavily oppressed in other ways, such as being forced to live in segregated Jewish ghettos. Across Europe, authorities often used this system to turn their Jewish population into a scapegoat. When peasants wanted to revolt, those in power would blame the Jewish tax collectors they had installed, so the rioters would attack the Jewish ghetto instead of the aristocracy. Anti-Jewish prejudice quickly took on what can be seen as a racial character, rather than manifesting as religious disagreement. People born Jewish often found that there was nothing they could do to escape discrimination. During the Spanish Inquisition, for example, Jews who converted to Christianity often continued to face significant suspicion and ostracization from authorities. As nation-states emerged in the early modern period, anti-Semitism increasingly became predicated on the idea of Jews as an internal other. Fear was whipped up against Jews because they were characterized as a group who would never be full members of the majority culture, but who also were not always easy to detect. This has meant that Jews often turned out to be most vulnerable to conspiracies that they pose a threat, in periods when they appeared to be the most assimilated and most safe. Many Jewish ghetto museums across Europe and different regions tell the same story, where the Jewish community enjoyed a period of relative freedom before the biggest massacre against them took place. Jews in Weimar Germany were approximately as integrated as British Jews are now, and then Hitler came to power. In light of this history, does it make sense to assume that centuries of anti-Jewish racism in Europe have evaporated in the 70 years since the Holocaust? Does it make sense to associate Jewish assimilation with safety now? And how does the left form a theory of anti-racism which incorporates a group whose oppression has long been predicated on them not having a country, so they were never colonized, and on them appearing to be wealthy?